any of these words mean.
Don't learn. Don't
MMO.
learn what the words mean. It won't make
I don't
you
know what
happy.
Black Desert something. What is this?
You don't need to know. It's a video game.
The failed cinematic universe, Dark Universe.
Oh, I wish we were talking about the Dark Universe.
They tried to cross over like the Mummy and the Vampire, and like they were gonna take all
the Dark Universe had the exact same problem that, and forgive me, Man of Steel had, where they were so busy worrying about the future, they forgot to make a good movie the first time. They forgot that your first movie should be good, and that people will not.
So caught up in like the profit potential of a cinematic universe that they forgot that in order to have a cinematic universe, you have to have something to start with.
I would also venture to go so far as to say that purely based on the fact that they could look up and see Marvel still racing towards the moon, that they were like, we got to catch up somehow, and that was literally their biggest fucking mistake.
Everybody was trying to play catch up.
Yeah. But you can't play catch up. You have to focus on one thing at a time. I mean, that focusing on one thing at a time is how you get the incredible success of the Mission Impossible franchise, where they put out like one movie in like 1994, and it's weird, but it's a big hit. People like it, and then they
wait till like 97 or 8.
Yeah, it's like 2000 is Mission Impossible 2, 2006 is Mission Impossible 3, and they don't nail it. Like, they don't really like start thinking about this as a franchise until 2011. They played the long game and let us like these movies first before they decided they're going to like try and spin off Jeremy Renner. You know, they let these movies get really fucking good first. It was
Mission Impossible spun off. That wasn't one that I got into.
They talked about it.
We're gonna get a Mission Impossible spin-off.
They were talking about a couple. They talked about so Mission Impossible 4 Rogue Nation, directed by Ratatouille's Brad Bird, brings in and it's
wild because Rogue Nation is real good.
It's fucking excellent. Well, you watch this movie and you're like, oh, I'm watching a fucking Incredibles movie. And I mean that in the best possible way. Where like the incredible action sequences of the Incredibles, forgive me for using the same adjective twice.
Your dictionary just turned.
Yeah, my fucking thesaurus just like I dropped my thesaurus in the fucking shredder in the middle of my first gin and tonic.
It's incredible that this incredible. He has incredible action scenes.
Yeah, I was going to replace these words later, and I just never got around to it when I'm writing the script for this podcast. And so Tom Cruise comes into Mission Impossible 11, and my man is 50 some odd years old. You know, Tom Cruise been around the block a few times, and so it's 2011. The Hurt Locker came out 1 year before, and my man was showing up in Thor that same year. Renner is hot stuff, so they bring him in with the intent that he will take over the franchise Bourne style. But no, everyone really liked Tom Cruise, and Rogue Nation.
And Tom Cruise is never going to die because he believes in the science.
Tom Cruise will not die. So they were like, no. I mean, Jeremy, we'll bring you back, but like, you're not taking over the franchise, Jared. This is Tom's baby. And then Rogue Nation brings in Ilsa Faust, a dope fucking character. And she hits so hard that they talk about spinning her off. But just because everybody fucking loves her so much. Just because this character's like blowing up. And I think they've decided not to do that or haven't gotten around to it yet. I guess we'll see how the final two Mission Impossibles wrap up. But anyway,
what'd you
say?
How many are they at now?
They have made 6. There are 2 more coming out. They're filming them back to back and then releasing them like 2021, 2022. That is if COVID hasn't fucked the whole thing up. But that is the idea. And by the time this is over, Tom Cruise is going to be in his 60s. So you do have to be thinking about an exit strategy with the Mission Impossible franchise. So
Tom Cruise will probably move into the like directorial at that point.
It would be the first time. Or if Tom Cruise starts showing up in other movies as the mentor or as you can still have a
You still have
career.
Ethan Hunt, but not focusing on Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise can start like flexing his other muscles now that his legs don't work good. Like you can have my man show up in fucking season 3 of The Witcher as like a bad guy. I don't give a shit. Like he doesn't, I don't care. Like bring in Big Tom and have it. He can do whatever he wants now.
Put him in a wheelchair. He's our new Professor Xavier,
Exactly.
and I think
got it. I've heard worse fucking ideas. I've heard worse fucking ideas than Tom
Can
Cruise's
I get
Professor
one of
Xavier.
them, please?
Yeah, I'm like, what's the worst Professor Xavier idea you've heard?
Jesse Eisenberg.
Big Jesse
Lex
Eisenberg.
Luthor,
Whoever played him in the 92 cartoon where he talks like this. My mutants, come to me. And I'm like, this is terrible. You should just... I know that Patrick Stewart was not as much of a thing in 1992, but you should just sound like Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, not a thing in 92, homie.
I'm sorry. No, he'd been around, but Patrick Stewart was an actor of the British stage. This is
British theater.
This is pre-Star Trek TNG, baby. Like, we have not, as a culture, glommed onto Patrick Stewart as a beloved pop cultural touchstone. He hits late in life. Like, he hit, like, he's like an Alan Rickman, where, like, Alan Rickman doesn't hit until he's, like, 45.
Yeah. Or Stephen Lang, who was nobody until Avatar.
That's
and
what
now
I'm
does
saying.
kitschy horror movies.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Stephen Lang, he campaigned really hard to be Cable, and I'll go ahead and say he probably should have been.
I didn't hate Brolin's Cable, but Stephen Lang just would have been the better
Brolin
choice.
was fine. Brolin's good. Brolin shows up to work.
Brolin's
You
a
see Josh
talented ass
Brolin in a movie. You see Josh Brolin in a movie. He'll take care of you. You know you're in good hands with Josh Brolin. Big meaty ham hocks.
When Deadpool eventually becomes part of MCU, which, let's face it, he's going to be the easiest one to bring into this universe. Just have something meta, and you're golden.
The tone is right. He's on the same like comedic playing stage as a Guardians of the Galaxy. It makes sense.
And you can put him in, and you can also keep the other two movies canon while completely erasing them in a really goofy way if you wanted to. Be like, he's like, I made it to the big leagues. In like self-aware, he's in a movie, blah blah blah. Anyway, we think they're gonna keep most of the cast, like the X-Force cast, with them? Like,
I think Negasonic comes along. Colossus could be recast because he's CG.
You can start over. I mean that the Deadpool Colossus is fine. He bears little to no resemblance besides physically to the comic book Colossus. I would like to see like comic book Colossus done right, just like one time. Just like one time.
So wait, by which version of Colossus are you talking? The one that like in the comic books where he's like human, but then he can turn to the metal body?
That's his whole deal. He's a big Russian farm boy, but he's a soft, tender painter. He loves his art. He's young. He's on the young side, and has that sort of spry esprit du corps. Like it was funny what they did with him in Deadpool, but it's not the same guy. Besides that, he's all metal and stuff.
There is one character who I want them to keep their casting for.
Domino,
exactly.
You can't recast that role. You
can't recast.
Picture perfect.
It's so
she
good.
Is the redemptive element of Deadpool 2. Zazie Beetz rules in everything, but like it's been a long time. Obviously, she had been on Atlanta before Deadpool 2, but like rarely have I ever seen someone just like come into a movie as a relative no one and command it away from the bigger stars around her.
Yeah,
she
100%.
sings so hard in that second fucking movie.
I am super looking forward to, if they do keep her, and I hope they do, an X-Force fucking movie where we get X-Force. Just like, give me Deadpool, give me Domino, maybe give me Cable, like, give me...
Yeah.
Well, Cable absolutely has to be in it because Deadpool absolutely has to point out that he sounds just like Thanos.
Yeah,
he has to point it out. He has to be like, weren't you purple once, and Cable has to be like, what? That's it. Like that. Also, my pitch for Deadpool in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because Disney's no way going to give him an R-rated movie again. Well, they might.
I would put money on it.
They might give him an R-rated movie, but when he's working with the Avengers in like the core MCU, don't censor him by changing the script. Leave the script and add literal black censor bars and beeps when he swears.
100%.
So that he's like, what the boop is happening? Why can't I boop?
Yeah.
What the boop? Like, just fucking pissed that he can't swear.
But the black censor bars should be a Mickey Mouse emblem. It should be... He's literally so like constrained by the mouse. The Deadpool 3 movie, some rat-based villain should should yank him into a different universe, and he's trapped there by the mouse, right? Like the mouse purchased the life rights to Deadpool and yanked him into, right? Doesn't that?
It should be so self-aware it's painful. He should just. It should be so self-aware. I can't wait. Also, he needs to interact with Spider-Man. Because Spidey and Deadpool is the shit. It's so good.
They're buds. Yeah, I like it. I dig it. This is, of course, Advanced Community Studies, a podcast where we... it's good every single time. A podcast where we watch and cover 1 or 2 episodes of Community at a time. I am one of your hosts, TV's Kevin Lanigan, and it's the first season of Lost. It represents lack of payoff. Thanks, Lost.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jace. I use they, them pronouns. And, I just feel like a remote-controlled Christmas pterodactyl. Is that it? Is that the thing? It's a remote-controlled Christmas... I want to get that right because the absurdity is brilliant. A remote-controlled Christmas pterodactyl?
A remote-controlled Christmas pterodactyl. He hits the button. He's like making this shit up. It's so good.
That's my gender of the day. Hi, hello.
Incredible. Well, I'm the daddy host, and the daddy host has had I almost said daddy issues. Fuck. Daddy host has had daddy issues all night. So today I'm just fragile and tightly wound.
Aww.
Good thing we're talking about something as warm as Kermbis.
We're talking about a nice little, not at all sad and depressing little Crimbo episode.
Oh, that was a quote from the episode too, by the way.
Oh, that's yeah.
Annie questioning why she's a ballerina, and Britta goes, "Annie, it's because you're fragile and tightly wound."
It's not because I'm that thin and graceful, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's literally, I'm literally not fragile and tightly wound because I'm that thin and great. It's because I'm a daddy and I have.
Well, so here's a quick question. They explain most of like the women as to why they have been, who they are. We can clearly understand why Troy is a soldier with a drum. That just checks out, right?
Do I have a gun? You have a drum. Cool.
Cool.
What is the Jack in the Box? We can tell it's because he's a fucking joke. He's like a one-trick joke.
Sure.
Why the fuck is Pierce a teddy bear?
Why have I never questioned
this raises some interesting questions.
Why is Pierce a teddy bear? Is it because he's tiny and needs constant attention? Or are you trying to imply that underneath all of this he's just a softie? Like, why is...
Is it because Abed thinks the group's plaything and they just keep him around to laugh at him?
I like that answer.
May I posture you a theory outside of canon as to why Pierce is a teddy bear? Okay. We could now obviously he is still like a racist old man, but season 1 Pierce, we could pretty solidly say, he's he's a warm guy, he'll give you a pep talk. He obviously has his fucking horrible faults, but it's not until we segue into season 2 that Pierce becomes the devil, right? Is that not fair? This episode, because it's stop motion animated, would have had to be one of the first ones they wrote for this season, if not the first. So when this episode is conceptualized, they maybe don't know where they're taking Pierce on this one, and so it is this retroactive idea that would have made sense if you wrote it before the trampoline episode. But coming out after the trampoline episode, it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
2 thoughts.
That is my... Yeah.
If they planned it early because they needed the extra time for stop motion animation, that doesn't make sense because he's got casts animated in, which means they knew at least a little bit of a plot direction.
They knew he was going to break his legs, but I don't... my personal suspicion is that despite even like Dan Harmon and co.'s rabid back and forth with Chevy Chase, that they had not committed to a full-on Pierce is the villain arc for this season when they wrote this episode, and it was a factor that remained from before they had... Maybe it was just the way that, like, Chevy approached the trampoline episode, or how, you know, they ended up directing it to where he seems like a true, callous, unfeeling villain throughout that episode.
The other thing it could be, and this is the other thought I had, is potentially they're doing a Christmas episode. It's supposed to be, even though it is kind of sad, feel good. So they probably were like, okay, how do we take this guy who, let's face it, is not super fucking likable, and just kind of make him rub as few people the wrong way as possible. Make him a tiny little teddy bear, and the only thing he says throughout the entire episode is, I'm just here for the cookies. That's literally all he says.
He's only here for the cookies, but he's the guy. He sticks it out. You know, he pops away for a little bit, but Pierce is the one side by side with Abed as they march into Santa's workshop. And that wild. Ain't nothing. That is a statement. No,
I might be so bold as to assert that maybe this is Abed seeing Pierce for what he is on the inside and not what he shows the group on the outside. Abed's the most introspective of the entire group, and we know, maybe not yet, but as the show goes on, that Pierce needed to be hugged more as a kid. So wouldn't a teddy bear be a pretty good example of who Pierce wants to be, but like doesn't know how to... Okay, so here's my reason for backing this up. I thought this and then Googled why Pierce was a teddy bear and found an answer that kind of backs me up. This person says, as much as Pierce is trying to be a cool, tough guy, he's really the frailest and neediest one of the group. A teddy bear is a soft and cuddly incarnation of a much fiercer creature. And then the next person says, I think through all of Pierce's asinine behavior, Abed has always been the one who saw through it to see someone who needed to be accepted and cared for. The rest of the group, while loving each other, always saw Pierce as a bother. I think Abed was the one who saw the group as a true community and felt as if Pierce's actions were him trying to be accepted. Like when you say someone's just a big teddy bear, although they may seem intimidating.
I think that checks out. I think there is...
I need to admit that I'm kind of...
the look of pure, like, upset defeat on Jace's face. Just
normalizing just how fucking toxic this dude is. Like...
He's toxic! He's toxic.
He is.
But, like, it makes sense the way that they've got the character.
Jace, I'm so sorry. Your face. You were like, man, fuck.
Damn! Like, shit. We all gotta... we all gotta take... We take that L sometimes. We take our turns taking that loss. It's okay.
I said it, scanned the faces, and they were just so... Damn it.
I'm like, you know what?
No, I was my feelings about that.
Consider it payback for all the times you fuck over my expectations at the end of the episodes.
Yes,
I finally
absolutely.
got back at you, you rot bastard.
Sweet revenge.
Dad, no! And then we're talking about Star Wars somehow. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know. Star Wars, she just keep coming up, doesn't she? We are talking about Season 2, Episode 11, Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas, directed by Duke Johnson, written by Demo Stamatopoulos and Dan Harmon, so a Starburns Dan Harmon collabo.
Oh my God.
Produced and animated through their animation industry that will one day be called Starburns Industries. The same animation studio that would go on to produce Anomalisa, that had previously produced like Adult Swim shows like Moral Oral. This is the kind of framework we're working in. It explains, and I love that we are doing a Claymation Christmas episode. These puppets' faces are a little off-putting. Am I wrong?
No, I think the thing for me though is they did a couple of them pretty well. Britta's is pretty spot on. Chevy's is pretty spot on.
Agreed.
Annie's when we start to get a little iffy. Troy kind of is just pretty much like the epitome of a token black boy. Like they didn't do too much to like make sure they got his face right, but they did enough. They were like, he's the one black boy. We don't need to put that much effort, right? Shirley's surprisingly good, but what the fuck happened to Jeff's face?
Yeah. I think that was the one I was really circling back around to, is that Jeff looks rough. Can I justify it in fiction? Can I make an attempt to justify this all in fiction?
Go for it, yeah.
Okay. The niceness of the claymation figure's face is directly proportional to how much they support Abed within the fiction of this episode. That because we are seeing this through Abed's Rankin Bass eyes, he is interpreting, say, Jeff, the character acting most apathetic to Abed's, like, legitimate mental breakdown. And so he is a distorted figure. Pierce, Annie, Troy, for the most part, stick by Abed through the course of this episode. The Dean and Duncan acting as sort of antagonists, and so they end up looking pretty rough as well. I don't know how much that checks out, but that is my attempt to make it work.
And if you were to describe him metaphorically, he's got a big fucking head. And...
big forehead.
Yeah. But he's got a big head, and he turns him into a jack-o'-lantern, a jack-in-the-box, which I'm now reflecting on even further.
It's because he's a big head.
Just a joke. Yeah. He's just a fucking bobbling head. So I guess they probably designed the main puppet with that in mind. So that's why he's got a big fucking head when he's even not the jack-in-the-box.
I think it's like it goes further to prove that Abed's just putting interpretations of what he sees of these people into claymation, and that perhaps he and Troy joke about Jeff's big forehead outside of just what we see in the show.
I love that.
Because like even in the paintball episode we're gonna get at the end of this season, and when he has a wanted sign up, he goes, "My forehead's not that big," and Troy's the first one to be like, "It's not small." So, like, clearly, they joke about this shit.
Troy pops out of a trash can wearing a Blazing Saddles Cleavon Little outfit, gets to insult Jeff's forehead.
Oh, and when he emerges from that trash can and gags, it gets me. It's just, every time. It gets me every time. It's so fucking funny.
It's the Western paintball episode. The incredible.
Yeah, he pops out of the trash
Western
can and goes,
paintball episode.
Freeze, Abed.
Anyway, but we are not quite there yet. Can I state something?
No.
This is my controversial opinion on this episode, perhaps, but I am also in the middle of an essay that is currently at 3,400 words about this character, so maybe I'm biased. Britta was right. Are we on the same page here?
About what?
What was Britta's pitch?
Britta in effect tricking Abed into therapy on less than legitimate terms, sort of in a way that much more resembles an intervention than it does any form of like family therapy. That she, out of concern for her friend, who, if we accept the opening credits of this episode as canon, destroyed several vehicles, was tased by security officers, potentially sexually assaulted Chang in public, that, like, maybe she's doing the right thing by convincing her friend, by tricking her friend into therapy. Am I wrong?
I would say in this case, You are not incorrect.
It's not small.
It's not small.
It's not small.
Since you started on the third button,
you want to spend a few more seconds on that third button? You're making me need to cry in the shower tonight.
Upon rewatching it, I remember building this snowman, and I'm looking at it, and I go, I remember this snowman starts speaking. I cannot remember how they justify it, and then every time it's Chang being like, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing?" And it's just
so good.
Did y'all notice this great little touch throughout the rest of the episode where that snowman is peeking out in the background every so often?
What? No, I missed that.
I caught that for the first time tonight.
It's most noticeable in the scene where Abed is explaining the concept of Planet Abed and assigning everyone their roles. You can see Snowman Chang just like right behind him, and I think it happens a couple more times.
Again, after we do this,
I'm gonna watch it again and just cry and cry.
It makes sense, yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, as if he's watching the group. I love this effect they use throughout the episode when a character is, like, exiting the scene and re-entering the study group, that they're ripping open this, like, vaginal hole, and you can see the study room through the hole. Mm-hmm. It's just a great little touch.
They really care, you know? And you can tell they care, because it makes you care.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. And I would watch this episode, and like every time a character would leave, or like Duncan would go raid Abed's dorm room, I really do want to see what this looked like in real life, like when they are doing this adventure, like are Troy and Abed and Annie like getting up on the table and like grabbing Duncan in real life. But then I realized
so much this watch, yeah.
And then I realized
straight up where Duncan's like, "You're grabbing me in real life, you delinquent."
Delinquent.
He climbed onto the roof of the train. What did he do in real life?
Right. And he's like ploink. Like I would love to see John Oliver say that and then like climb up on the table. And then I realized that is essentially the Dungeons and Dragons episode. That is basically the concept of that episode. That we are not seeing the fantasy story, we're seeing them telling the fantasy story.
Sure, yeah, yep. Oh, now I want a claymation animation of the D&D episode.
Oh, wouldn't that be so good? I bet, I'm putting money on it right now that if I type into youtube.com community Dungeons and Dragons animated, that something gonna come up.
I hope so.
That'd be great.
I'm looking. Y'all keep talking.
Okay. We can do it.
What else was exciting about this? I like the little, like, what they call it, the Hanukkah Forest and the Jehovah's Witness Bay.
The Hanukkah Mountains, yeah. And yeah, he says Jehovah's Witness, and Troy's like, "Thanks for adding that, Abed." He like nods. So good.
I really appreciate that, Abed. Yeah, it's just
so, yeah. Oh, dude, when Duncan tries to like keep Abed from going onto the roof of the train, and Troy's like, "Who taught you therapy? Michael Jackson's dad?"
Oh,
that shit fucked me up, and I did not catch it until this watch.
I forget about that one.
Michael Jackson's dad.
A Joe Jackson joke is a rarity, but really, really sings in how much it surprises you, because you don't get that one a whole lot.
Oh man, it's so good.
It's so good. The structure, this episode is wonderful. And I feel like after this episode came out, there were a lot of pretenders to this throne. Like in Harold and Kumar 3, which is set at Christmas, we get a very brief claymation sequence. I'm not saying that Community invented the idea of doing a claymation Christmas sequence. No,
it's very clearly a reference to Rudolph.
But and Year Without a Santa Claus, etc. Well, but I feel like I didn't
his mom every year.
Yeah, but I feel like I didn't see it until this episode. I didn't see things that were not claymation jumping into this mold.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like they made a lot of people realize, oh, I can do that too. Maybe I'm wrong.
Doing just a claymation episode?
or a claymation segment of Harold and Kumar 3, or like any of these pockets that have popped up. Maybe it's just that because of like Adult Swim, cheap claymation was like possible to have access to. Like maybe the popularity of Robot Chicken like allowed other folks to say like, oh, we can do this.
Hey, we can pull it off.
We can do that. Have you seen South Park? We can do South Park.
Oh God, no! Stop.
South Park, where like early on it was just like construction paper that they were taking pictures of and putting side by side.
That's true.
That studio's
That's a true
turnaround
story.
is
My
fucking
brain a little
bananas.
bit. I don't really
Yeah.
watch that show, but looking back at the graphics of like beginning of South Park, which was a show that I didn't watch, but just like looking back at it, I remember being like, "That's fucking paper."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's literally like construction paper, especially like the early like short films of Jesus versus Santa Claus, where they took it to like film festivals and shit. I am not a big South Park fan, and I do wonder when they will answer for their crimes of anti-Semitism. However, there is, if you are at all interested in the production of television, there is a short documentary called 6 Days to Air, where they follow the production of one South Park episode from like
I've seen
how they
It's the Human
wrote it,
Centipede
made
episode
it,
too,
and-
which is an incredible
yeah.
episode.
Yeah, they wrote it, animated it, and aired it over the course of 6 days. It's phenomenally stressful, but it is worth watching whether or not you like South Park, and I nominally don't.
Yeah, there's a really great podcast I listened to Matt Stone and Trey Parker on, where it just in response to your eventually they will answer for their crimes, where someone essentially asks that, like, how when do you think this ends? And like they obviously don't know because it's still a thing, but their response is very good because their response is like, we didn't think it would go this long. And like 4 years now, we have had just a yep, you got us. This is where we stepped over the line, and then like take a family vacation and disappear for like several months because they're prepared because they've been pushing the envelope so long. They're just like they're like, we obviously try not to cross lines, but like that's so hard to judge. So like we know someday something will happen and people are finally like, yep, cancel it. And they're like, we're okay with that because we didn't think it would get this far anyway. Which like at once is humbling because like these two guys who created this thing have realized like we've caught some kind of zeitgeist and we've somehow figured out how to keep that fire in our hands without burning ourselves. But two, it's also like kind of fuck you guys because you realize you're pushing that line further and further in a direction.
It's just
like
kind of given an excuse to go that way. I think like the number of times I've heard people be like, "Oh, come on, South Park," as an excuse. Like whenever they do that, it's an instant discourse killer because you can't fight that.
Yeah, and like there's
Right.
an argument that you could make that like it's extremely heady, relatively intelligent satire. But for
Sometimes.
that argument to have any for that argument to have any gravity and any traction at all, you have to assume that the viewership is both informed and educated enough to understand and decipher and understand
Well, but the other
that satire.
thing is,
And the reality is that
it's
most
not
people
be deciphered as satire. It's just functioning as propaganda.
that's
And-
what I was gonna say. Like the reality is most people
Dumbledore.
watching it. Most people watching it are seeing it at the surface level,
The other
and what
reason
seeing South Park at the surface levels essentially means is now you have this tool belt full of small weaponized turns
Right.
of phrase and moods and and like tropes that you can throw at people.
The reason I don't buy that explanation, though, is because if people are trying to claim it as like, oh, it's actually really smart and it's really intellectual satire, the thing is, satire decidedly knows where to throw its punches. And if it was
Right.
truly smart, the punches they would be throwing would have some sort of morality fundamental to them. And
A lot of their punches are
at a
lateral
at a certain point, they're just playing
Lateral or
devil's
way
dangerous.
down.
or super down.
Like-
Yeah,
Or
They
super
went way
down.
Yeah.
They rarely
Like,
punch up with enough frequency to argue that the show punches up. They're more often like down and sometimes across the room, like ladder. You know, sometimes you're like, oh.
And their excuse is, well, we punch everyone equally. It's like,
so do the cops. I fucking hate them. Well, the cops don't.
Also, like South Park, punch down.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they punch down at the minorities that are underneath their knees. Like, there are. Okay, so I'm not saying that South Park or Family Guy.
All cops are bastards. Anyway,
yes,
move
thank
on.
you. Annie Edison is a cop. So let's so okay, I am obviously not saying that South Park or fucking Family Guy invented anti-Semitism or transphobia or any of these ideas. However, they continue throughout their entire lifespan to give these ideas a platform and to weaponize people that believe these terrible ideas with new ammunition, with the idea that these smart guys that make this TV show that I like believe this and show it to me, so that reinforces my own beliefs as a bigot. And I don't know, like it's
you don't have to be the one that invented it or the first to be complicit. And just like all cops, they're fucking complicit. Like every time someone does something like that, anytime a TV show does something and takes advantage of that open door, even if they're not the first one, they're complicit. They are actively participating in violence. Like, you know, like this is harmful stuff sometimes.
Marshall Mathers Eminem did not invent homophobia, but he gave every homophobe a weapon. He stoked that fire. Sure. And that, like, how much are we supposed to say that that is okay? Of course we're talking about the show Community, but it's something that I think about a lot, and there's obviously no one answer, and if you come after something like South Park, it only makes South Park fans dig in deeper because they like the show because of how much it is butting up against these social mores or what is like moral and right. And if you push back on that, that only reinforces their own beliefs that South Park is accomplishing exactly what it wants to do. You cannot win this cyclical argument.
Yeah, and I also think that you could take the like Troy and Abed's wishing pool argument, that is like if the thought is to like unilaterally crack down on what South Park does, you will inextricably and inadvertently impact things that do it right or do it differently or just in a way could be associated in any way to it. And like the reason I bring up the Troy and Abed wishing well is like Britta says no wars, and Troy's like no absolutes, because like Star Wars, Storage Wars, like that, you can't just eliminate a thing. And while I'm not arguing or advocating that we do not have the ability or cannot work to make South Park less relevant, what I would, I'm not even caution. It's just when it's brought up, when we talk about it, it makes me remember that like South Park has done the trickiest thing, which is somehow aligned itself with satire in a way that coming after it ends up coming after a lot of people. And while that is not an excuse to excuse South Park, it is the way that they've laced themselves into the framework of television and satire and commentary. Like, even if it's bad satire, they've essentially trademarked their satire as satire. I'm going to say satire 6 more times in this sentence. And so, like, anytime anybody comes after them, they just go, it's a joke. And, like, fuck. That argument victimizes everybody else who's telling good jokes. And it's aggravating.
I mean, look, when you have a conversation about any of these things, it's important to have nuance, you know? Nuance is important. And, like, being 100%. Able to maintain opposing perspectives is also important. To be able to hold two ideas that fundamentally kind of go against each other. Like, this show is fundamentally bad and dangerous and violent, while simultaneously being able to acknowledge certain positive things that it does is an important way of reflecting on things. Now, does that mean that we should look at them independently? No, I think whenever you look at one, you must look at the other. So to, be like, well, you have to look at the good things they've done. It's like, yes, but every time you cite a good thing, you must also be looking at it with an awareness of what is dangerous about it. And there's nuance because you can learn from these things. Similar to what we were talking about with the Dungeons and Dragons episode. Like when you kind of just like remove something, it doesn't do any justice for the discourse that could be provided by talking about it. So it's complicated. Nuance. Have a nuance.
It's complicated. And like, listen, if you take South Park off of whatever streaming platform it's currently on, you only in effect weaponize South Park and galvanize everything that it's always been talking about in episodes where it did have qualitative satire. Whereas the thing you could do to take away South Park's power is the opposite of what we're doing right now, which is talking about fucking South Park. If you just stop talking about it, it ceases to have power.
So back to animation that has really good, well-crafted jokes and storyline. I really like this episode of religion.
Yeah,
this is a good episode of Community. This is a very exciting episode of Community.
It's a very exciting episode of our podcast, to be completely honest. People that listen to this are going to get way more than they thought they were coming for.
Oh,
that's what
at the same time. This is our
that's
trademark.
Right.
Yeah.
I think any show or game or movie is a gateway to larger topics, and the excellent thing about Community is that there is almost no topic that it does not cover. Everything is on the table. It's like when Duncan is presenting the YouTube videos in class, is like, if faults are on the table, so is God. It's the Community rules is that anything can be branched off to from here. Number one hit, God of Thoughts.
I think, which actually also reminds me, continuing the conversation we're currently having, my initial that I always bring up is that, like, everything's on the table with Community, but at the same time, what aspects of that are harmful? Because there are harmful elements of this show, and it's one of those things where it's like,
absolutely,
we practice nuance and holding opposing ideas on a regular basis when watching this show, and that's kind of one of the amazing things about it is that it forces you to do that. Even if you were to take it out of the lens that we're looking at it now as like retroactively, like looking at these episodes that aired a few years back in a decidedly different cultural time, like the show has always done that, like
100%.
Like 100%. Caused you to think about a lot of things and pushed it and pulled it. And that's kind of the nature of the show, is to force you to have conflicting ideas existing at the same time. But, also when you look at things contextually, it's important to, accountability, such and such, whatnot, etc. So.
Etc.
Just jokes that's stolen from Community.
Yes. Can I mention one of my other favorite lines in this episode? When they're walking through the Coral Canyon, and Abed describes the plants as giving off Christmas carols instead of oxygen. And Pierce, unable to escape the idea of lawsuits, says, "Will walking through here be expensive?" And Abed goes, "No, it's all public domain."
An exquisite joke.
It's very good.
I love it so much. Another exquisite little touch of this episode. I'm sure we all see it every time, but reflected in the TV that they're watching at the end are their live action selves, and that is just such a beautiful little touch. You don't gotta do it, but that they do it is always perfect. What puts the show up over the top.
It was perfect. I also really love the tiny little moment where Abed says, "The atmosphere is 9% cinnamon." Is that what he says?
Yeah, it's the most Christmassy planet.
Really going, aww, and I just love that moment. It makes you feel warm,
Yeah, it's incredible.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
As a fan of a different 6-season-long television show, Lost, this episode features an exquisite Lost joke.
Yes,
the best Lost joke I've ever fucking seen. Lost, at the time this episode aired, Lost had ended like 7 months ago. So we're still fresh, baby. This is still like piping hot Lost joke. And we get a cast member from Lost later on this very season. It's just a beautiful joke. As a Lost fan, you must have a sense of humor about yourself and the things that you like. You must simply take these knocks on the chin, take a lick, and keep on kicking.
It's very good. It's really good.
I didn't know if it was explicitly a reference to like how season 1 ended. I like optimistically have always interpreted the joke until this moment, remembering the cultural backlash of when Lost like ended. But like I've always been like, oh, as someone that's never seen it, what happens at the end of season 1? Is it just like a cliffhanger?
No, it is that Abed pulls out season 1 of Lost on DVD to signify that many felt the end of the show.
Right.
Did not pay it off. That is the larger sense of the joke.
Did something weird.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at
pulls out like a good replication of what is to me the iconic season 1 Lost DVD art, like a faithfully recreated version of that DVD disc, and it was it's an exquisite joke. Now we simply cannot get me talking about Lost. I watched 2 episodes of Lost right before logging on to this very podcast. I am much more favorable about the end of Lost than most people, and find that pretty much every mystery was qualitatively answered if you use like a basic amount of like connecting the dots in your head. But I don't know, I'm a Lost fan. Like,
Kev just like
I get it.
Just calmly dragged everyone who has a beef at the end of that show.
You watched Lost and you didn't like the ending of it? Guess what? You're stupid.
Yeah, he was like, if you use the smallest
You're
amount of your brain.
You're just not smart enough to understand the ending of the show.
It's
really
such a
good.
perfect encapsulation of everything they were going for. It focuses on the heart and not the head. You really need to focus more on the characters than you do on the mysteries, but also most of the mysteries were answered. I don't know what you want from me.
To bring us back to the episode, one of the things that I caught this watch through was the reference to the pilot, like the first episode ever. This episode starts off on a brilliant miniature replication of the boombox from the first episode. Because the whole show starts on that boombox, and Dean doing like this like introduction, welcome to Greendale, and so it's the same exact part on this episode, but it's got these, and I look at it and like the rings around the speakers, they look like, I don't know, like jewelry stuff or like links that would have been made to a chain. I looked at it and was like, oh, that looks like my nose ring, and then I was like, wait a second. And then I reflected on it. I was just like really excited to see that callback. I don't know, y'all.
You were going to a place. You were on a journey.
You see this, man. You also see the Koppelgangers again.
Yes, they are the ones that taser Abed.
They tase Abed off the car at the beginning song.
It's the Koppelgangers. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that the best fucking thing?
Show. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you.
They
could have made any cop models, and they made those. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Can I campaign for 2 things? One, when I asked if I could, and then just dove right into it like that.
Yeah, please.
That's the
permission
dad
is
coming
always granted. I just talked about Lost for like 2 solid minutes. You're free to do whatever you want.
Sure.
Stop rambling. By all means, please speak.
I think that we should all adopt saying asterisk after something that may or may not be completely true. Because Abed saying, if I find the meaning of Christmas, everything will go back to normal. And Jeff just going, asterisk. Very good. I'm going to use that
Incredible,
now when
Jeff.
people say stuff.
Incredible winger joke.
The second thing is, and it's unrelated to this show, but kind of related to this show. When we're done going through Community, might I cast a vote for us doing an episode rewatch or watch through of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Ooh.
Because this group we would dominate in that element.
I'm
not gonna lie to you. I don't want to go too far into this, but like Always Sunny, I have seen moments where I've been like, this show's really funny. Why haven't I watched this? And then I always go back and I start at episode 1, and then they do like blackface and the N-word, and I'm like, that's why I don't watch this show.
Is it the first episode? That's the gang goes racist?
It's their fucking pilot. They're just like,
yeah. They're much like the other shows that we have discussed previously in this episode. That was one that was definitely, trying to push up against those cultural mores, but unfortunately, over the course of fucking 15 seasons, the mores have pushed back even harder, and there are... we have argued it on other shows. There are perhaps contexts for different things, but there are oftentimes in early episodes of that show where you're like, I don't know if the show knows which side of this it's supposed to be on. I don't know if the show is aware that it's doing wrong right now.
Yeah. I think we would dominate that show.
I think it would lead to a lot of really fascinating discussions.
Precisely.
Actively minded folks.
I am worried about covering any comedy less inventive than Community, because like if you tried to do a podcast about like New Girl, you just be like, that was funny, and that was
okay.
funny.
Then I've got it. Our next one is a podcast about How I Met Your Mother.
Oh God! Oh,
I couldn't even finish saying it.
What?
I would actually love to do that, because when I was younger, when it was like airing, I fucking loved that show, and I look back at it and I go, why did I like that?
It was the first show I fell in love with as like a teenager that carried me into adulthood, and I love it. Was my favorite show in the world.
Entering college thing, like high school was Doctor Who, like down and out, but like getting into college was How I Met Your Mother, and I had no fucking clue why.
I owned almost every season on DVD. I owned both of the Barney Stinson books. And just looking back on that show with even a little bit of context, you have to go, Barney Stinson is a rapist. Like, is a comedy rapist. Like, it's
and they just played it off as like, well, it's being played by Neil Patrick Harris and he's a gay man, so we're good, right?
I mean, that show comes out in like, what, 04, 05? Like, the womanizer lying to women to get them into bed was viewed culturally much lighter than it is now.
I think the part where I reflect back most harshly on is when we realized that he had a built-in machine in his bed that would dispose of women if they stayed there too long.
Oh,
my God. Do you remember this? His bed would, like, Sweeney Todd style, just dip and drop the body. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, but he wore a suit. It was funny.
Hey, earlier in this episode, Kev said in
porn.
Whatever. The show's problematic.
Listen, the show, we've talked about shows aging like Dinosaur Bones. How I Met Your Mother has aged like milk in the desert, baby. Like that's chunky.
It has aged
milk.
Like milk-soaked bread in the desert.
Oh God. But listen, in case it wasn't already obvious, when we're done talking about Community, I am going to talk about Lost. It's the only other thing I'm built to do as a man.
It's what I'm made for, he says.
It's what I was bred to do, what I was born
I was born to do this, quoting General Zod. Earlier this episode, when you were talking about models, Kev, the models they used, you brought up Dean and Duncan, and I wanted to point out then, and I just remembered, that Duncan and the Dean is an incredible indie band name.
Duncan the Dean. Oh, yeah, a real Belle and Sebastian type? Is that what we're saying?
Sounds like a Lerner and Hooch remake that's been brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts.
All right, but if we gonna get a Community spin-off of any type, Duncan and the Dean is like way up there for me as far as shows I would watch, because those are two comedy fucking machines.
Yeah, it'd be great. Jim Rash and fucking John Oliver on a show together. Wait,
why do we not get more of the two of them interacting in this show?
I would say
because Duncan disappears for like a season and a half.
Yeah, I would.
Even when
it is.
They don't do a lot of one-on-one.
No,
it is two component parts, shall we say. So, while Duncan is a major character on the show, Season 1, Season 2, and then again in Season 5, he is only occasionally appearing, and the Dean has not yet ascended to a main character on the show.
And it didn't overlap.
He is still showing up for a scene or two most episodes, whereas by the time the Dean is like in the opening titles of the show, by the time Jim Rash gets a title card, Last Week Tonight is a huge hit, and we don't get much more Duncan after that.
Right. Damn.
But would watch. We will always have the $3,000 judges table at Greendale's pool. We will always have Paris. So, for a little bit now, I have pulled up the Great Community ranking sheet. Every episode we rank episodes and end tags. Let's begin with the end tag for this week's episode. Troy and Abed in stop motion.
Yeah.
I love this one specifically because it it pointed out something I'd never realized. And it's
Look at how delicious food is.
Claymation food looks fucking great.
Look at this perfect bite.
That perfect bite mark is just like, yeah, that's real. I felt
one of my favorite genres of comedy, which is pointing out cartoon shit. Like when they paint the tunnel on the wall. That's exactly my jam.
Oh my god, that end tag is so good. Have we already seen that one?
Yeah, that was
Cartoon
that's
Tunnel,
at like
number 3.
Accounting for Lawyers. Yeah, number 3 here. So let's start there, shall we? Troy and Abed in stop motion. Not as good as Cartoon Tunnel. Simwa.
Yeah, I would put it above, and this is me just jumping to where I would put it instead of going through the next 3. I would put it above Betty White Africa, but below Pepper Water. Because Pepper Water's reaction for me is still more visceral than Troy and Abed in stop motion.
That's pretty amenable.
I don't think this is top 5.
So we're down here. Above Betty White Africa rap would be the new number 6. I'm negotiable anywhere in the top 10, but I do really like this end.
Lower, honestly. Like, I thought this was a really clever take on the Troy and Abed in the morning thing. Oh, but they do swap heads.
Which is good.
That's good. That does do good things for me. No,
yeah, I like that.
I would put it...
What about... Okay, so number 12 is Oh Christmas Troy. Is this better than Oh Christmas Troy?
I'm surprised Oh Christmas Troy is at 12 right now.
I mean, there's some good shit above Oh Christmas Troy.
That's true. Oh Christmas Troy is just like iconic. I would...
It's beloved.
Its nose smells like special drink.
I mean, here's the thing about Community, is that if you're in the top 25, you're still really fucking funny. You're still,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm looking at it, I'm like, because I think what's happening now is I'm at the point where I'm remembering that, like, how much I love certain ones, and when I look through the list to try and find where this one should go, I keep going, oh, but fucking Bert and Ernie. Oh, and spaceships. You know, and like, oh, Christmas. You're
getting nostalgic for things we talked about like a few months ago.
I'll put it. You know what? It's a good one. I would put it just below Oh Christmas Troy.
Okay, and Caleb, you were gonna put it at 6, so we're looking at 6. We're looking at 13. Let's say we average it. Maybe
not better than Pierce Poop Rap. I'll die on that hill.
Not better than Pierce Poop Rap?
Yeah.
I love the Pierce Poop Rap.
Oh,
all right,
okay, let's
say 11 then.
All right, sure. I like Kick Puncher a lot, but I'll give it that. Yeah.
I also really like Kick Puncher, but they're both very good. It's not a it's not a negative against one. And now we're into the episode itself. Okay, so why don't we start with the previous Christmas episode? Our current number 4, Comparative Religion. Is this better than Comparative Religion?
Oh, yeah.
So Jay says yes. Pretty hard yes. And Caleb gave me a gentle head shake.
I was the quiet no, because I didn't want to be the first to speak up. I don't.
Do you know where you would put it, Caleb?
Do
you have like a
probably put it above epidemiology?
We're still very high.
Because I was also just about to say I think I actually would be down with putting it just below cooperative calligraphy.
I can
definitely
agree. Just below that. Yeah, I say
Kev doesn't seem as amenable to this decision as we are, Chase.
What
are your feelings? Shaggy one.
Because I know I haven't had a fucking haircut in like 13 months.
It was no criticism. I realized as I said that.
Scoob, we gotta rank these episodes, man. Because I could definitely see putting it at the new. I think you were saying like what, number 7, but I could also put it above Comparative Religion and feel pretty confident about it.
Why do you think?
Well.
Why
do you hate me
better
and Jesus?
than that one?
You know what it is?
Why do you hate me and Jesus?
I'm realizing as far as Christmas episodes go, I like this one better than Comparative Religion. But as
it's
episode,
a better Christmas episode.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, as far as you're like, oh, it's a Christmas episode, and then you're like, it's in stop motion, and that alone makes me go, fucking yeah, it's better than the last Christmas episode. But when you look at it as an episode amongst the rest of them, I'm like, I could put you below the bottle episode. That was a great fucking episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, in any way, we're talking about top 10, and, like, number 10 is Accounting for Lawyers, which is an incredible episode. Like, you don't lose if it's here in the top 10, but I'm going to give them extra points for the fucking gumption to do a fully nose to nuts stop motion animated episode of their show. You get these good little Christmas songs. You get a nice Christmas themed story that covers both the brightness of Christmas, that like the idea of Christmas is what gives Christmas meaning, but also the like bittersweet. You know, I watched this the same day I rewatched When Harry Met Sally, and that show also really covers like the loneliness of the holidays really well. Like, if things are not panning out especially well for you around the holidays can just fucking take your cut and pour a full bottle of lemon juice directly into it. And this episode covers that melancholy really well.
And that is a thing for you. You love the melancholic humor.
I love it. And then that makes, like, Remote Control Christmas Pterodactyl stand out all the more because it's juxtaposed to a claymation Christmas episode that features a killer lost joke. Just an unbelievable lost joke.
But also, this episode is not better than Conspiracy Theories and Interior Design.
An excellent point, actually. Okay, yeah, it's below Cooperative Calligraphy as to E10, Abed's Uncontrollable. Yeah, points knocked off for this not being
how much Kev campaigned, and then Jace was like, but... Hold on.
And then you brought up that number 5 was Conspiracy Theories, and I said, fuck, yeah, right, it's not as good as Conspiracy Theories. Yeah, you're right. Everything I just said, like, it's not. I mean, being number 7 at this point in Community's run is a really... That's
an honorable position.
That is a high-ass ranking. And any
like, as it scales,
the
top 5 is now the top 10, like, in equal praise. And then, like, next season, the top 15 will be the same as the top 5. And then after the 5th season will be, like, the top 20. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to keep...
This show is too good for its own good. We're going to have such a hard time. Like, I remember I was talking early being like, it's going to be hard to rank this. And we're like, we'll get there when we get there. And we're, like, not even there yet. And we're, like, already stressed.
But there are enough bangers left in this season alone that, like, we could kick out half of this top 10. We could kick out, like, most of these season 1 hang-ons up here will certainly be gone by the time we're done with season 2.
But here's the thing. What I mean? I have a hard time believing season 2 is going to get uprooted pretty easily, because season 2 might be the best season.
I think it 100% is. There are, some absolute classics in 3, 5, and 6. And I believe that very strongly, that there are going to be some episodes from those seasons that crack.
Absolutely.
But
we still haven't addressed the multiple timelines episode, which
100%.
is kind of amazing.
Our future number 1 remedial chaos theory. But, like, left in this season alone, coming up, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, intermediate documentary filmmaking, the hospital episode, Critical Film Studies, the My Dinner with Andre episode, Paradigms of Human Memory, the fake flashback, and 2 killer paintball episodes.
That's the rest of this season?
That's before the end of this, and then there's a bunch of other episodes.
And Kev skipped Celebrity Pharmacology, which, like, might have one of the best Chang central roles in the show.
Asian population studies
also incredibly
in there.
Good. They're on this.
Like, there's so many great... There's one stinker throughout the rest of season 2, but there are I was only listing, like, the A-grade episodes that we still have to cover.
This is a banging season. This is a very difficult season, because it's just like... Because that's exactly what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the nostalgia of season 1, which is just like fucking season 1, you know? And then now we're like season 2, which is like... They've got their bearing, and now they're like a heavy hitter and shit, and they're like really smacking them out of the park. So we're battling with like increased experience in the
foundational,
show.
Yeah.
So it's just like, fuck, which one do we... Is it because it's the first time they did it, or is it because it's the best time they did it, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
100%. And that is the battle that, like, I just have such an intense affection for comparative religion, physical education, that, like, there are 3 season 1 episodes in the top 5 still, but then you look down at the next chunk and it's like all season 2 piled up underneath the best season 1 had to offer.
In season 2 episodes, we haven't breached the lower numbers yet. We haven't been like, this one goes toward the bottom. We've always been like...
Yeah, we've been top 12, 13 the whole time. That's a great
There is one coming up that I will place near the bottom when we get to that episode, but it also has my favorite end tag of all time. Competitive wine tasting is not a good episode, but the end tag for that episode is Fiddler Please, the black version of Fiddler on the Roof, which is...
It's hard to be Jewish. It's hard to be Jewish. It's hard to be Jewish in Russia. Yo.
We're gonna get to those weird ass season 5 and season 6 end tags, and you're gonna have to sit here as I argue that, like, Portuguese Gremlins is the new number 2. You're gonna have to
Portuguese Gremlins though, but that's also because Gremlins has like a really special place in my heart. I fucking love that movie. Why is it
great movie?
Sorry, little tangent, and then I will stop.
Why
is it that Abed
what tangents? I don't get it.
Huh?
Sorry, Kev took a
what
drink,
did we
and I said, what
did we talk about? I'm sorry, did we talk about South Park for 10 minutes today?
Sorry, Jace, please go on and ignore my rudeness.
I was basically saying that for some reason, almost everything that Abed references as like a niche like thing that like is like something that I also have a connection to. So like I remember we were just talking this episode when he starts talking about Farscape, I lost my damn mind. It was like, nobody knows what the fuck that show is, but I have seen every episode.
Oh my god.
And it's wild. So just like that, but then also Gremlins. I love Gremlins. So I think I will be with you in voting for Portuguese Gremlins.
When we get to like the Yakuza like end tag, these absolutely insane end tags that are coming up after Troy leaves.
Spin-off end tag where they give her own show, and then
that one is so good.
That one's good, but that one's also in a weird meta space because part of us is like we're being led to believe that this is actually what happened, but we're also then given this meta reality of it's actually a spin-off, and like there's so the question is, does magic exist in this universe? And I'm hoping that the 3 of us can have an adult conversation about this when we get there.
About the canon and whether or not...
Period. But keep believing in yourself, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. Keep dreaming there, Sleeping Beauty. Why don't we segue into a little section I like to call plugs. Y'all, take the floor. Take it away.
Okay, I have a good one. I didn't know what I was going to do until we started talking about South Park for 10 minutes. So I decided that while we're talking about that, I want to plug my favorite animator of all time, who is definitely not problematic. I'm talking about Rebecca fucking Sugar, the best of the best. I love her. I love them. Steven Universe was an integral part of me coming into my gender identity, and it is also just the best show ever written. At me, I dare you. So follow Rebecca Sugar. Yeah, that's what I have to say. I said what I said.
I love it.
Well, I don't really have anything to like promote. Really, that's not something you've already heard. But something pretty fucking awful happened in Beirut today, and like just be on the internet and ready to find whatever way to support those people because like Beirut's going through some shit, and then they had a massive explosion on their main source of economic income, their port, and their port's fucking devastated. And like that means medical shipments, that means food shipments, that means just replenishment. Like they're kind of fucked. And yeah, that happened today. So like expect the world to, you know, the people who care in the world to spring into help out mode and be ready to do that. And if you don't know what happened, like find out, educate yourself. I guess trigger warning, it's a massive explosion that can absolutely be traumatizing if you've experienced anything like that. But like We as a community need to make sure we take care of people in the world that are going through shit. And it seems like that list of people is ever growing.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to be the first person to say it. These are unprecedented times. Now more than ever. We need to, but yeah, I've already seen tons of like links and stuff, and I will try to share them with this episode and outside of this episode to use our not insignificant platform to make sure that people have the information that they need in this case. I will shout out two friends of the show, because I've been trying to share stuff from the community. There are two funny guys that host another community podcast, because there are fucking 12 of them. They're Ben and Mike, and they host a show called Good Morning Greendale, and you can listen to that if you want. But their side podcasts are some of the finest independent podcast work I've ever come across. One of them is called Ring My Bell, which is a podcast about Taco Bell and masturbation, which is very, very funny. One of them is called Any Album You Like, where the listener brings in an album and they sync it up to The Wizard of Oz. And they've done, like, They Might Be Giants. They've done all these crazy albums, and that is a good time. So
That's
I really love that. And they also did a pod where they covered every episode of Futurama. They're like the one Futurama podcast that like stuck it out to the end. They have a nice little fan base from that. I love like watching them interact with their listeners. So awesome. Absolutely go check out their shit. They're good folks. All the community podcasters are good folks. I'm really spoiled that I get to like talk to these people all the time. Oh, that reminds me of the social media shout out that I was going to do this week. Friend of the show, Kelly Harold, Jacob Kelleher, who appeared on our episode where we pitched different community movies, posted an excellent series of images today where he said this is what it's like to see the community podcasts interact with each other and support each other instead of compete and fight for listeners. And he posted 4 images from the video game episode of Community, Digital Estate Planning, and Gilbert says, "You're playing the game wrong. You're supposed to compete." And Jeff says, "Thanks for the advice, but I think we choose how we want to play." So remember, folks, follow Kelly Harold, KELLEHERALD, and then also remember that you, to a certain extent, get to dictate how you play the game, and it is important to remember that as we enter... This is our 20th episode recorded entirely in quarantine, and there are still... and there have been daily Black Lives Matter protests for 2 straight months, and now there are the situation in Beirut and Lebanon, so please remember that you get to decide what you do on this earth, and you get to decide how you play the game. We will be back next week with 2 very, very funny episodes of the television show Community.
I don't even feel like I can do that end tag. That was just like a really just like nice ending. Just very like... felt like I just like got logged off on the 10 o'clock news. Like I don't even want to make a joke about it.
This is Will McAvoy.
Yeah, I'm trying to sub in for Cronkite.
Pop up. Doobie doobie, doobie doobie, doobie, do 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 dee, da ba da 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 ba da dee, da ba do dee. Do do da ba do da do da da dee dee.
I literally just started fucking snapping along. What the fuck?
You monster!
I was like, ooh, they're doing it like a jazzy rendition. I'm down, and like snap end. I guess I'm Thanos because I snapped and it fucking ended.
This has been a Talkback Podcast.
That was quite a show.